We're going to start with Man City. They beat FC Copenhagen 3-1 in the first leg of the Champions League last 16 tie last night. And, of course, obviously it was live on talkSPORT. Former Man City defender Danny Mills joined the Breakfast Show this morning and said that he can understand why people find Pep Guardiola's side a little bit dull.
The way that they play can be considered a little bit boring at times because it is tiki-taka. It is pass. It's not quite the high-tempo counter-attacking like Liverpool is. It's more measured. It's more patient. They will dominate possession for 75% of the time. But it's not boring that they keep winning. They are ruthless. They have a desire to keep going, to keep winning. And there's no reason why they can't go very, very deep into the Champions League, win the league, and possibly win a domestic cup as well.
It pains me to say it, right, because I'm a Man United fan, but I don't understand why people think Man City are boring. I know they hold on to the ball for a long time. Their possession stats are usually 70 plus, right? 70% plus. But it's in the final third when they attack, the options they have, the way they move the ball about so quickly. If they lose the ball, they get it back within 5 seconds, etc. The players, they've got Bernardo Silva, they've got Rodri, they've got Kevin De Bruyne, they've got Haaland, they've got Phil Foden. I mean, their team is unbelievable, right? And I think sometimes you have to sort of sit back and go, do you know what? We are seeing brilliance. It doesn't matter who they are or what team they are, be it any sport. If you've got, like we're talking about Luke Littler, right? If you've got a genius in some kind of sport, you have to sit back and admire it, right? Yeah. So I don't really understand why people think they're boring. Are they boring because they keep winning all the time?
That's all it can be. Because when you watch Manchester City, I enjoy watching them play. The way they play, the possession, the triangles they create, the overloads, the way they move the ball 1 and 2 touch, the way they play through the thirds, I really enjoy it. And if you're an inspiring coach or you like the tactical side of the game, you can't help but be in awe of what Manchester City do. They find a way to pretty much beat everybody at some point. Say they're boring, I don't get it, because look at some of the players you've got. I mean, you look at Haaland, he's certainly not boring. De Bruyne, not boring. Rodri, what a player he is. Foden, we're talking about exciting. Doku, every time he gets the ball, you go, oh. For me, they're not boring at all. I just think they've set the standard. They are the benchmark. And I think it simply comes down to a lot of people just hate the fact that they win everything. Like I almost...
You're an Arsenal fan, right?
Yeah.
But you can still admire them like I can. Yeah, it pains me to say it, right? But you understand what I'm talking about. Of course.
I mean, Arsenal play good football, but the way that they play football, Manchester City, is something like I've never seen before. And I understand people will find it boring because they'll just say, well, they just keep possession and then they just score and they win. But what they're exposed to do, that's the way you win matches. Well, certainly the way they win matches. I think it's a fantastic brand of football, and not one aspect of their football do I find boring.
No.
Even if it is 70% possession. Okay, let the other team have a go, then do something else.
If you find them, but listen, in my mind, there's no doubt I much prefer seeing a side like Spurs play with that high line, because then it's like you don't know what you're getting, right? They might concede 4, they might score 4. That's more entertaining. But that doesn't take anything away from just how dominant Man City are. So if you want to talk about whether or not you think Man City are boring, 03717223334. I don't need to phone up and say they're not, because we understand if you think they're not. I want you to explain why you think they are. But also, I do want to talk about Phil Foden, right? Is he a genius?
Yeah, what a player he is.
He's a genius, right?
Yeah, what a player.
23 years old. Ryan Giggs won 34 trophies, 13 league titles. Phil Foden is 23. He's got 16. Giggs at the same age had 10, so he's got 6 more than Giggs at that age. Will he go on to be the most decorated British player of all time?
So, I mean, it depends on what trophies you're talking about, because Community Shields and that, I don't really like to count them. But when you look at, I was looking through Phil Foden's major honours, 5 Premier League titles. 5. 2 FA Cups,
nuts.
4 EFL trophies, 1 Champions League, Super Cup, Club World Cup.
And I'm not even counting in that whole the Under-17 World Cup.
Exactly. 5 Premier Leagues. Come on.
Giggs is the record with 13, right? Yeah. But he's got a long way to go.
I mean, Phil, if he stays at Manchester City, which I expect him to do, then there's no telling what he's going to end up.
If England can only have a player on the right-hand side being Phil Foden or Bukayo Saka, who should we pick?
I would go with Saka, because I think he's been better for England.
So would you leave out Phil Foden?
No, I'm not saying I'm leaving him out.
Where are you putting Phil Foden in that team?
Number 10. Or on the left.
Where are you putting Jude Bellamy?
Well, again, see, I'd go Declan Rice, hold.
Yeah.
And you two go and do what you do.
Bellingham and Foden.
Yeah.
Okay. So he starts?
He starts. He has to start Phil Foden.
You know that and I know that. Sadly, I think there's only one person on the planet that doesn't know that. That's the manager. But...
do you know what would help Gareth? I know Pep's not here to help Gareth. If he started playing Phil Foden in that 8 role for Manchester City. So when it comes...
Foden?
Yeah.
Instead of who?
Well, Bellingham's a 10. So then you then get... Rather than Phillips...
Yeah.
You try and get Phil Foden to maybe try and do that.
But what I'm saying is, for Man City, who are you moving?
Again, that's the problem. So you've got Rodri, who plays every week.
You're not touching him.
De Bruyne.
You're not touching him.
And you've got Bernardo Silva. But Bernardo Silva can play on the right.
So you're saying don't put Foden on the right because Bukayo Saka's got that space?
Well, you can, but I just think Bukayo Saka for England has been outstanding.
Okay. So you would pick Saka over Foden for England?
Yeah, on the right,
What about club level?
Yeah, I still would for Arsenal. But
do you think Saka's better than Foden?
No, my point is, I would find a spot for Phil Foden.
But if you've only got one place...
When I'm playing Saka on the right.
So do you think Saka is better than Foden?
I think he's more effective.
So do you think he's better?
Yeah, I think he's more effective.
You think he's better?
He's more effective, yeah.
Okay, but why can't you say yes, I think he's better?
Because I've said to you already, if I'm starting someone for England, I'm starting Saka.
I know, but why can't you say yes, I think he's better?
Because I think it's a flip of a coin with them two.
Okay. But you would... I'm
starting for England is Saka.
All right, so we'll talk about Phil Foden.
Who are you starting?
Foden.
Over Saka? For England?
Yeah. Is that all right?
Yeah, it's up to you.
Rashford on the left.
You best have a laugh.
03717222344. Lots of phone chat. We'll get your views on Man City as well. Former Liverpool midfielder Danny Murphy.
Right.
How's that happen? Former Liverpool midfielder Danny Murphy. Can you hear an echo on there?
No, I can't.
Former Liverpool midfielder Danny Murphy joined Jim White. Jim White and Simon Jordan this afternoon. He said that Danny Murphy said that...
He's all over the gaff, him.
Danny Murphy said that England must find a way to get Man City midfielder Phil Foden into their starting 11 for the Euros.
His best position would be a 10, yeah. But Bellingham's going to play there, more than likely. He'll have to do what he's doing sometimes for City when De Bruyne is playing in there. He's come off the wide areas and still drift into those number 10 positions. So, for example, the other night at Brentford, he didn't stay there, but he started on the left, drifted into those central positions, because they dominate the ball, which England will against the majority of opposition. So it's not really a problem for him whether he starts centrally, because he ends up in those positions anyway.
That's what we are talking about. That's one of the things we're talking about. Phil Foden, Man City, 03717222334. Let's speak to Michael, who's a Man United fan. This would be controversial. Hello, Michael.
How you doing, guys? You okay?
I'm great, very well. How are you today?
Yeah, really good. Just want to say, loving the show. Love your banter between you two.
Thanks, man. That's
Thank you.
very kind of you.
Very nice of you.
Off you go. What would you like to say?
Right. So before, when you're reading out his list of achievements, it'd be really interesting to know how many minutes he got early doors under Pep. I think it's very false list that of his achievements.
I tell you what, I get that, but I know it's not false. The treble last year.
Yeah, but I think Jack Grealish played a bigger part in that than he did. I think he's very inconsistent. I think England are dying for another Gaza, and we're trying to pin it all on a boy who just.
Do you not rate him?
Not rate him. I think Bellingham is a true star, and that's if you're going to be talking about Foden at that level. I think he needs to start doing things like Bellingham's doing.
Do you think Bellingham's better than Gaza?
I'm not quite old enough to really remember the Gaza of his Tottenham days, so I can't really comment on that, to be honest.
Does Phil Foden get into Man United starting 11?
I think I get into Man United.
Okay. All right, Michael, thanks for your call. Let's speak to Steve. He's also a Man United fan. Hello, Steve.
Hi, guys. You all right?
I'm great. I'm very well. How are you doing today?
Yeah, good, thank you. Good.
What would you like to say?
No, it was just basically saying whether City were boring, really, and I'm not one of the Man United fans that doesn't watch City. I quite like them. I think they're a great team, but I think that the tag that they're getting is down to the way that they are once they've got the lead. So a good example was against Brentford at the weekend where they went down 1-0. They were brilliant then for 60 minutes till they came back. They got to the 70th minute and they just sat with 3-1. Now, people like me have put a bet on when they went 1-0 down, thinking, hang on a minute, they could come back here and they're going to smash them 4-1. And you sit there thinking, why don't you just kill a team off? And they don't. Any of the other great teams of the past have gone on to win 6s and 7s, you know.
Steve, my only thing with that is that necessarily they don't have to win 6 or 7. They are killing the game off by just keeping possession of the ball. I know you probably want to see more goals, 4, 5 and 6, but if the other team can't get the ball, they're just killing them off. It's like slow by 1,000 cuts.
I get that though, Benty, but you put yourself in that position. If you were Haaland and you weren't getting any service and you wanted to score more goals in the Premiership than anybody else, you'd be one of the ones that was complaining, mate, because you were waiting up there and one of the best finishers. And all you're doing is watching your defenders pass the ball backwards and forwards amongst themselves.
Do you know, my only thing with that is that they create enough chances for Haaland. I know at times he probably wants more service, but he sees the bigger picture. At some point, the way they're keeping the possession, he will get an opportunity.
Without a doubt.
talkSPORT Drive. Super opinionated sporting debate. Monday to Friday afternoon from 4 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.